History Makers.
In the late 18th century, William Wilberforce was converted. Almost single-handedly, he broke the shackles of slavery.
People there were just totally different.
We are looking at the footprint of God over the last 2,000 years.
History Makers.
Since the Roman legion destroyed Jerusalem in the year 70 AD, the Jewish people have a nation of their own.
And he said, well, no, Randy, we're not all just faking it. There's a living hope, and his name is Jesus. And I believe that that's really why you're here.
Christ died for us.
History Makers.
Hi and welcome to History Makers. I'm Matt Prater. Today we're catching up with Caleb and Derek from the band Tasman Jude. They're a Canadian reggae band. How you doing, boys?
Fantastic.
It's great to have you in. I know how much you love Australia, and I've been wanting to get you on History Makers for so long. And we're going to unpack a bit of your story today and talk about a bit about your music. Let's start with you, Caleb. Whereabouts were you born and raised?
So I was born in Alberta, Canada, but at 2 months old, my parents moved to the Caribbean as missionaries. And so I spent 18 years in multiple different Caribbean islands, mostly Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but it's one of the most beautiful parts of the world, hey?
It is gorgeous, and the food is sensational.
Yeah?
I mean, there's lots of good beaches on Earth, but
Yeah.
the food. That's what I tell people, like, you know what? Yes, the beaches are beautiful, beautiful place, but the food, that's the real.
That's the good stuff. And what kind of missionary work did your parents do?
Good question. They planted a couple of churches, and my dad did lots of weddings. My mom did some photography and weddings. Like she does ministry as well in that sense, and lots of guidance and counseling kind of stuff. Yeah.
And were you involved in the church planting and the ministry there?
No, not at all. No, most of the quote unquote heavy ministry happened when I was really young.
Yeah.
Not even a teenager yet, and then by the time I hit probably 11 or 12, I was kind of so angry at, the church and Christianity and all that stood for that I didn't really care at all. So became really rebellious.
Did you really? Okay.
Really rebellious, yeah.
Yeah. That can happen a lot to missionary kids or pastors' kids and things like that. So that's a bit of your story. What about your faith journey? Was there a convergent experience for you at some stage?
Yeah, so after about 7 years, between 11 and 18 of addiction to drugs and alcohol and stuff, and I was really angry child, gangs and like lots of fighting and stuff. At 18, my parents kind of got so fed up that they shipped me out and shipped me to Canada. When I say shipped, of course, I flew. But landed in Canada and, was just on a angry vendetta to, beat up anybody I saw that disrespected me, etc. And then I had the revelation of the love of Jesus. He walked into a vision and said, I am love, and I've created you to love. And at that moment, all of my addiction and anger went away, in the blink of an eye. And I woke up the next morning completely transformed and delighted to be living instead of angry.
So how did that happen? Was it a dream or?
It was like a vision, open vision, like, I was awake, fully awake.
Awesome.
And it wasn't, it was really profound because then I was at Bible college for 2 years, and I learned a lot, about the Bible and stuff like that, which is so awesome. But I kind of in that time forgot the initial what Jesus had said, which was, "I am love, and I've created you to love." I spent so much time doing the Pentateuch and the this and the that, all the words that you learn in Bible college, that I kind of forgot the foundation of how I met Jesus. And so now I'm I can't say in the last 4 years, I've been back on that journey of what is to love people. And, I fail all the time. I mess up all the time. And, but I allow him to love me through it, and then learn a little bit and grow a little bit, and, from glory to glory. So
cool.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool story of, being away from God for so long and, really angry, and then a vision, coming to Christ, doing Bible college. What about music? Were you always involved in music?
Yeah, so when I was 4 years old, I got up on a stage and I grabbed the mic and I started singing. There's a picture of it, actually.
Oh, yeah?
And I got off the stage and I told my parents, I want to do that forever. And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And but when I in my rebellion, and stuff, the songs I would write were not very good, like not very good lyrics. It was pretty detrimental and like very, very awful things. And so I don't even utter those words anymore because they're not who I am and who I want to represent. So so now, through our music, I try to bring hope and love and joy and freedom and unity and all the things that I believe God wants for us. And sometimes I just sing about going to the beach because we get kind of stressed out and sometimes we just need to relax. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
good.
Sometimes it's a profound bit of lyrics and the other times I'm singing about taking you to the islands.
And it's so good that, reggae music, is being redeemed for what you guys are doing because, a lot of the reggae music is connected to the Rastafarian religion and, with Bob Marley and all that kind of background. Were you ever involved in that kind of religion or?
Yeah, well, I can't really say I was like heavily involved. I still think I'm very influenced by a lot of it. In many ways, of course I don't smoke anymore or anything like that. But I think Christians can learn a lot from Rastafarians because they have a dedication that you haven't met many Christians that are as dedicated as some Rastas. And honestly, even though it is, of course, not, Christianity, it's very close. It all kind of branched out of the southern states, teaching about a white God, a white Jesus. Yeah. And of course, the slavery and the rebellion thereof. And I think the most important thing for people to know is that God has no color. Yeah. God has no race. And he is a God that is king of all, loving father of every race, every background, every culture, every heritage, every gender, So I think once people realize that, then they have no problem with the love of Jesus Christ and don't need to create another God because God isn't white, And but Rastafarian, I can't say ism because they don't like that, but Rastafarians, they branched out of that, but of course, rebellion against the white God, which you can't really blame them for because there is no white God, you know what I mean? So,
that's right, yeah.
And we know that, of course, the Christians, quote unquote, of that day were very much not representing Christ because Christ is not a God of slavery. Yeah. He's a God of freedom, right? He came to set the captives free. And but, due to people misrepresenting Christ, rebellion took place, and now you have a whole other faith that somehow brought onto this earth a fantastic genre of music that I love.
Yeah, well, I think everyone loves a bit of reggae music, and everyone would know some of the big reggae songs. And I'm a big fan of Rastafari, who have been doing Christian reggae music for many years. And,
long time,
but there aren't many others that are in that genre. Do you know many others?
Of course, I'm in it, so I know quite a few. Yeah. But very few of them are like really, really quality. There's one good friend of mine from Trinidad and Tobago. His name is Positive, and he is quality. Yeah. Like we listen to his stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah. We listen to his stuff in the car all the time, and it never gets old. And he's not just kind of like us. He's not just stuck to that one drop reggae beat only. We allow that diversity to take place, and he even has a kind of electronic song. Okay. I'm on fire for Jesus. Dun, 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 dun. And it's so cool. It's a great song.
Oh, cool.
And we play like in between our sets. Sometimes we play in pubs in Australia and Canada, right? And in between our sets, I have a playlist and we play Positive, and he's singing, "Yes, close to my friend name is Jesus." And we're just allowing the truth of the gospel to the sound waves to just kind of ring through. Yeah,
so
ring
good.
True.
Fantastic. Well, we're chatting with the boys from Tasman Jude today. It's good to hear a bit of Caleb's testimony. Over to Derek now. Whereabouts were you born and raised, mate?
Born and raised. Born Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada. And then, just with the moving for work and stuff, my family moved to Alberta. And then, my mom got saved, and that brought about my parents' divorce because my dad wasn't having any of it.
Right, okay.
And, so we moved back to Vancouver Island where my mom's entire family lives. And, I kind of just grew up going to church, living my mom's belief, and it never really became my own thing. I think I was in my was in my 20s, I think, when, and I don't even totally remember what exactly happened. I just remember all of a sudden this was mine. Like, it wasn't based on what someone else had told me. It wasn't based on, what someone said from a pulpit. It was something that I discovered, and, a relationship that I had built. And, there's been a lot of different trials in my life, and I've had a few conversations with people. It's like, well, how can you be a Christian and play in bars and do all this stuff? And I was like, I can't tell you words to make you understand to make you understand how much I am absolutely 100% sure of what I believe. I couldn't say the words to convince you because I know it 100% for myself. And, I've always been involved in music, and in a lot of ways, I think music saved me from a lot of bad decisions, which is, a little bit different. I think I was 14 when I started just playing and jamming with friends, and I started playing in bands and, doing shows and whatever. And then, I moved around for a while, and then shortly after I, really found my own relationship with Christ, I moved to Oklahoma and did some work with a nonprofit there. They did school assemblies talking to kids about gangs and drugs and life choices. And
Okay.
And, it was a lot of public schools. And, so I just, did on the road for that. And then I was on the road with another band for a while. And then I just took a break from doing the music thing, tried to live a normal life. And it just didn't work for me. It just, it's not what God created me to do. And I met these guys and did a fill-in show with them, and then shortly after, said I joined the band. And I think it was 2 days after I said I joined the band, my mom got diagnosed with ALS. It's I don't know if you know what it is. It's like a neuron or something disease where your body just stops communicating with itself. So, you're fully mentally aware, but your body just shuts down. And so at that point, my family was really not happy with the fact that I was getting rid of all my stuff and going back on the road again. But I knew it was what I was supposed to do, and my mom knew what I was supposed to do, and she said, "Don't you dare stay here, because this is what you're supposed to do." And she passed away in July, and right to the very end, it didn't change. She missed me and she loved me, she wanted me there, but she knew this is what I was supposed to be doing. So, that was beyond amazing. In the position she was in, knowing where she's going, right? Like when she first got diagnosed, I was like, man, this sucks, but on the same hand, it's like, not really, because, she's suffering now, but soon enough, it's not going to matter. And, so it's just like she was always so happy to see me, but also so happy to see me go and do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we'd show up and hang out, and then she'd be like, all right, it's been 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, get back
Go
on
again.
the road.
Wow.
So...
Well, I heard a quote once that said, "Success isn't just what you achieve, but what you set in motion."
Yeah.
And, she's successful because she's raised up you, who's now reaching the world with the gospel, with the music. And I bet you she's so proud of you watching from heaven,
absolutely. I don't doubt that for a second.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that with us, mate. That's really powerful, and you guys really do...
Tears in the studio, man.
Oh, yeah. Both, I think we're all choking up a bit here.
I'm supposed to cut onions in the studio, man.
But it's good, for you to share, something real that you've been through because, people can relate to that. Everyone's, had relatives that have passed away and been through tough times. And to know that she had a strong faith and passed it on to you.
Oh,
she passed the baton.
Yeah.
That's a legacy, isn't it,
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So good. Now, before we wrap up today, I always like to ask our guests to share what is the good news of Jesus Christ. There might be people listening that have never heard the gospel, that don't know what it is to come to Christ. Caleb, would you share with the listeners, what is the gospel and how do people respond to it?
I believe, the gospel is the fact that Christ decided to set aside his glory and kingship and came and lived a humble life to perfectly reflect how we can live, then died and rose again to make that possible. And I believe that as we begin and continue in a intimate, intrinsically woven relationship with him, it'll happen more and more every day. And no matter how much hurt and no matter how much pain and trials and tribulations and even how much you mess up, because the voice that you're hearing right now is the voice of a very screwed up human being. But I rest assured in the good news and the truth of who Christ is. And I just every single day, maybe multiple times a day, go, Jesus.
Yeah.
I need you. And the fruit that comes from that is beautiful. I'm not the human I was 6 years and 4 months ago when he first introduced himself to me. And I'm not the human I was 2 months ago when I was working through stuff. And I'm not the human I was yesterday. His transformational power due to an intimate relationship with him. That's the good news.
That's such good news. And I know you guys live it. You live the gospel when you share in schools, when you share in pubs, when you share in churches. In your music, it comes through and it shines through, and it shines through in your lives in the time we've been hanging out today. I reckon you guys are history makers. Thank you so much for joining us. And if people want to find out more, the website is tasmanjude.com. They can look you up on Facebook and Instagram and find all your info. And we just love having you guys out in Australia. Thank you so much for your time today. Tasman Jude, God bless.
Thank you, Matt. Bless you.
Thanks for joining us on History Makers. If you'd like to listen to this interview again, just go to historymakers.tv. There you'll find links to Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can subscribe to our iTunes podcast or check out our YouTube clips. And you can find out about History Makers TV. We are a faith-based ministry and we appreciate every donation. You know, the vision of History Makers is to share the good news of Jesus Christ to the nations of the world. If you'd like to partner with us, send us an email, info@historymakersradio.com. God bless you. Have an awesome day. I'm Matt Prater, and why don't you go and make history?
History Makers.